It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is the first Monday of the new year, 2025. So this is the first full week, first Monday show of the Geno Jones Show of the new year, our first full week. Some folks are just getting, everybody's kind of really today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, everybody should be fully back to work, back to school. The Geno Jones Show, by the way, brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, 9730 Dorchester Road. You can follow them on Instagram, on Facebook. I think she said, she being Kendra and Corey Williams, the owners of City Vibes, my good people, my family. Follow them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and I think TikTok, all right? So it is a Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Hey, if you haven't watched, if I haven't seen you since the holiday, I hope your family, I hope you had a wonderful Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, still celebrating Kwanzaa. Happy, those celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. Just a happy holiday, happy New Year. We're doing this thing, all right? It's 2025, which means midterm elections happen in 2026. And you're going to meet a guest of mine today. She is running to be the state superintendent of education here in the state of South Carolina. Sylvia Wright is going to be my guest shortly. Now, today is January 6, 2025. We all know what happened. Well, if you didn't know, maybe you were in a coma or something. January 6, 2021, you had an insurrection where you had white nationalists and just outright criminals. Many of them are in jail now, who basically tried to violently overthrow our government. So today's monologue is not about that. I'm not going to beat that. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. However, there are many who would like to erase like that history and say it was a day of love and it wasn't violent. Well, the 5 police officers, their families who died from the either mental, emotional trauma or injuries that they sustained on that day and later on wind up losing their lives, try telling that to those families or the other Capitol Police officers that are still with us but are still dealing with the trauma of January 6th. So I just want to point that out. But let me pivot and shift to some good news. Congratulations to Denzel Washington, my favorite actor of all time. As far as I'm concerned, the GOAT actor, my man Magic Johnson, designer Ralph Lauren, Hillary Clinton, and civil rights icon Fannie Lou Hamer. Rest in power, rest in peace, rest in paradise to Sister Fannie Lou Hamer. They all received the highest civilian award you could receive from President Biden. It's called the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So I got a chance to go and see. I didn't even realize that it was coming on. It happened Saturday, and I just happened to be surfing around, and I said, oh, wow, the Presidential Medal of Freedoms. Those awards are going to be the Presidential Medal of Freedom Awards. Ceremony is today. That was on Saturday. Then I saw Denzel, and I saw Magic come in the room, and Hillary Clinton, and Ralph Lauren, and others, and then a family member of Fannie Lou Hamer. I just want to focus on Fannie Lou Hamer, just in case you don't know. You should know, especially those of us, Black Americans. Really, all Americans really need to know, to be honest. But it is so important that we as Black Americans know our history, because, you know, the mantra of the show is, listen, nobody's going to come save us. You sure can't depend on the government now after November 5th. Not that we were waiting, because collectively we were never waiting. We just kind of wanted to be not interfered with and discriminated against and have to deal with institutional racism and the violence that came along with all that. Just, get out of our way. We got this. So, now we realize we're all we got. But the truth is, we're all we need. For us, by us. That's our assignment. I'll be keeping an eye on things, I'll let you know what you need to know with the madness, with the MAGA madness. We have to focus on us in terms of our community, from our immediate families to our extended families, because DNA does not make you family. It means you share DNA. And then our community, and we just build out from there. Fannie Lou Hamer was an iconic, legendary civil rights activist and pioneer. She was a community organizer from Mississippi, who, as much as any singular person, from Dr. King on, just do the research. As much as any singular figure in my take, this is just my take, was as important in terms of really getting the Voting Rights Act of 1965 passed. That really, even though we supposedly as Black Americans have the right to vote, Fannie Lou Hamer was denied in, I believe, in the early 60s. They had all of these racist tactics to vote. Count how many, literacy tests and how many jelly beans in a jar and all kind of foolishness and just madness. So Fannie Lou Hamer was denied the opportunity to vote in Mississippi, so she decided to do something about it. And like I said, as much as any singular person, she is as responsible for former President Lyndon Baines Johnson passing the Voting Rights Act. She spoke before Congress. Fannie Lou Hamer was a force in nature, never really fully got her recognition because, unfortunately, even during the Civil Rights era, there was a degree and level of misogyny and sexism, at worst, and at best, just women and those from the LGBTQ community had to, felt or were forced. I went around then they didn't get the attention. They didn't get the spotlight that was shined on people. Dr. King deserved every bit of attention he got, but others, from a young John Lewis, Ralph Abernathy, there's so many. But Fannie Lou Hamer was as pivotal as anybody when it came to being one of the driving forces to getting the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965. Fannie Lou Townsend, that's her maiden name, Fannie Lou Townsend Hamer. When she was 6, she started picking cotton in Mississippi with her family. Family was a sharecropper. She was one of 20 children. And she wasn't able to have children because a doctor, just as far as my take, from what I've been told, a racist doctor who didn't look like her, basically performed a hysterectomy on her without her even knowing. So she wasn't able to, and it wasn't uncommon, especially 30s, 40s, 50s, I guess even the 60s. There were, unfortunately, many Black women who were unknowingly sterilized or were given hysterectomies. Just the racism in medicine, which is a whole different show that we talked about. Actually, Fannie Lou Hamer actually ran in 1964. She ran to be in a, hold on. No, not 64. Let me get my mind right. 1977, yes, 1977, Fannie Lou Hamer, she died in 1977, but I believe it was 1972. I was trying to check my notes. But I believe in the early 70s, but you can Google, yes, Fannie Lou Hamer did run to be a U.S. Senator in Mississippi. She lost. As a matter of fact, that might have been, I may have had 64, but anyway, the date is not so much important. The fact that the sister ran to be a U.S. Senator, but she didn't win. 1964, okay, I had it right. 1960, follow your first mind, Geno. So she ran for the U.S. Senate in 1964. She died in 1977 at the age of 59. Rest in power to Fannie Lou Hamer. All right, let me bring my guest on. Speaking of voting in power, so midterm elections are in 2026. Do not, and I know there's still millions of people disappointed, disillusioned, depressed, discouraged, dispirited. We got to triple and quadruple down now. We can't tap out. We cannot unplug because people, those who want to oppress you, they want you to be tired and fearful and fatigued and frustrated and depressed and dispirited and just downtrodden. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to energize and activate. And my guest is running to be the state superintendent of education right here in the state of South Carolina. That election is in 2026. But I say don't wait till 2026. That's the mistake a lot of politicians, people made. That's a whole different conversation. Every day you need to be at it, at work, reaching out to the people every day. So she is here to tell her story. And I had the honor to meet her New Year's Eve. Shout out to Joan Robinson Berry and her husband, Chris, who are family. And I had a chance to meet this beautiful sister you see on screen through Joan Robinson Berry and Chris Berry. Welcome to the show, Sylvia Wright. Hello, Sylvia.
Hey, Geno, thank you for this opportunity to come on your show.
Well, listen, thank you. We got a chance to meet through Joan and Chris, and I was just really excited. And we talked. I talked to her off Saturday about so many other things. So listen, I don't want to waste any more time. I want the viewers to get to know you. So if you don't mind, share your origin story, Sylvia.
Okay. So again, thank you for this opportunity, this platform. I was born and raised in North Charleston. My dad was in the Air Force. I graduated from Fort Dorchester High School. I'm a military wife. So after graduating, moved with the military, I pursued my degree in education at Fayetteville State University. I actually got my bachelor's degree from Fayetteville State in middle grades education. Then I continued education because once I started teaching in 2004, I noticed that there are different needs in my classroom. So I went back to school, got my master's in divergent learning from Columbia College, which helped me.
If you don't mind, Sylvia, for the viewers who may not understand, divergent, what is divergent learning? And which Columbia College? Actually, I went to Columbia College, Chicago. Which Columbia College did you get your degree from?
Thank you, that clarification. So Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yep, and divergent learning, it's basically strategies to reach the different types of learners in the classroom.
And because they're visual learners, explain. I know they're different. I've heard and I haven't read on the level you have, but I've read they're visual learners. What are there? Is it 3 or 4 specific different types of learners? Educators, help us out.
There are. So with the divergent learning, it's visual, it's kinesthetic, getting them moving. It's like 5 different things. There's like a whole chart in my mind that's going blank, but I know visual, kinesthetic.
And kinesthetic, you say, is motion, learning by doing.
Yep. Because that was the main one that I focused on, was the kinesthetic, getting kids moving, getting them out of their chairs, just getting them engaged and excited about learning. That was like my main strategy. But those kinesthetic, visual, it's 3 other things. My mind is going blank.
Well, okay. It'll come to you.
Okay.
But I heard that term. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but kinesthetic. But it would make sense.
Kinesthetic was my focus.
Just to learn by doing. And that's probably one of the better ways to learn, to do something.
That's correct. That is correct. So Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina. Then after, we were in Sumter, South Carolina at the time. So after I received my master's in divergent learning, we moved around a few more times, but then in Texas, I went back because I wanted to be a college professor. So, and I love history. So I received my master's of arts in history at Texas Tech, which actually gave me the opportunity to become an adjunct professor of history at Charleston Southern University. So I did that for 3 years. Then I went to the Citadel. I received my master's in educational leadership, started getting leadership positions. I was school coordinator, I was department leader. I was instructional coach. I was an instructional coach. I'm currently the secondary coordinator for Dorchester 4, um, which means I'm over curriculum and instruction for the middle school and the high school. I continued my education at the Citadel. I became a specialist in education, which qualifies me to be a superintendent. And now I'm currently working on my doctorate in um, um, educational practice and innovation. So improvement science.
What is that again?
Improvement science. So I'm looking at systems. How can we work together to improve systems to make it work better for all people? We're being intentional and not only like collaborating, but and figuring out how we can make things better, monitoring it so it can be sustainable. What can be fixed? What's the weaknesses? What are the strengths? So just overall improvement. Nothing stays the same. Things are constantly changing.
That is true.
And so when things change, you have to be able to, adjust with that. So
Well, Dr. Wright, we're gonna speak that into existence.
yes, sir.
When do you finish your doctorate?
August 2006, or sorry, 2026, August 2026.
Which is, I guess, a couple months before your election. So 2026.
That's correct.
It's gonna
26 is going to be a big year for me.
Yes, absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. So soon to be Dr. Wright, for those who are watching that might be asking, what do you want to be the superintendent of education for South Carolina? You would say.
Well, honestly, how it all started, I actually have a grandson. He's 2 years old. After he was born, a year after he was born, I was in this office and I was thinking, you know what? I want to get him in a good, like private school. That's what I was thinking in my mind because I've been in the system and I've seen, things. So as I'm looking up these private schools, I get a conviction. What about the kids who are left in the system? So that's when I was like, okay, Lord, look, what would you have me to do? And so this position, came to mind. Now, keep in mind, my whole thing was being like a district coordinator. That's the level I was at. But I started researching the position, talked to friends and family, and I realized, that I had my head in the sand this whole time. I was so concerned about my district, making sure my kids had, like the kids that I was teaching, the kids I was over, had what they needed, neglecting what was happening in other counties. So after like opening my eyes, getting, one of my statements on my social media is we need to look beyond our schools, look beyond our classrooms, look beyond our families, look beyond our neighborhoods. There's bigger issues happening. And then if we all keep our head in the sand, things are going to go on and nothing's going to change.
True.
So that being said, that's what I want to bring to the State Department of Education, to the public schools in South Carolina, the change that's needed. And I'm not talking about just throwing money at issues like what's been happening. I'm talking about we collaborate, bringing the community back into schools and partnerships. So my mission, engage, empower, and elevate students, families, communities. We all need to work together, make this, and we can improve the school system if we all work together and be intentional about those improvements.
If you were to go into a hair salon or a barber shop or a community meeting or VFW hall or a lodge for be your Masons, Eastern Stars, could you bullet point 3 things that you really want to accomplish, or is there just one thing at the top of your list that you'd like to share? You've got the floor, so
Thank you.
Feel free to focus. If there's that one thing, or maybe because I know we talked off camera, so there was a lot of things that we kind of covered in the conversation. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to let the voters know the main thing.
Okay.
If it's one main thing, even I know it's more than one. If there were 3 things that kind of you wanted to bullet point without going into detail, or if there's just one thing that's really passionate at the top of your list, feel free to share that with us.
Okay, so that one thing that I'm most passionate about, safety. I can't stand bullies. The statistics for teen suicide and kid suicide because of this cyberbullying,
Yeah.
social media mess, and then school shootings. You know, there's a solution to that. So I've actually partnered with Detective Rich Wistocki with Be Sure Consulting, and there's a video actually on my blog. I've interviewed him. We've talked because we're collaborating to make our schools safer. So he has a program that can prevent school shootings, okay, and stop cyberbullying. So, like I said, there's more details in my blog. Um, and then I have links too to more information to how we're going to prevent these school shootings and make safe learning environments for all teachers, students. You know, I saw there was a bill proposed for it was like the Guardian bill to like arm teachers, but I feel like teachers shouldn't even have to worry about that. That stuff should be taken care of. There should be like a defense built before it even gets anywhere near the school. And so with my cyber safe school initiative, that's the goal, to prevent that from even coming on campus. So people feel safe, parents feel safe, students feel safe, teachers feel safe, you know? So
So,
that would be my main thing.
so Sylvia, that sounds like something that the entire community uh, needs to get involved with. Maybe you feel that the community could be more involved. I
Mhm.
mean the entire community, like you said, not just focusing on. Yes, we obviously we got to focus on the children in our household, under our purview, our children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews. But when I see any child, any teen, I see my child, even though my daughters are adult. The
Mhm.
dad in me comes out, as I say. So is there a more, when I say community, I mean like full, we all are part of this community of humanity. You want to speak on that? Do you, because it sounds like there's like a holistic approach. Like you said, just giving teachers, guns is not going to solve the problem. That's just my take. But I want you to speak on that.
As far as like the Safe School Initiative,
Yeah.
okay. So one of the things that Rich Wistocki will come in and do is he'll train the parents, he'll train the teachers, he'll train the students. Because currently we have say something, see something, right? Or see something, say something. Well, what he does is he trains the students to find the 5 things that they need to look for and report. Because yeah, we can say, yeah, say something, see something, say something, but what are they looking for?
Good point.
So that's the community thing, getting the parents involved. If on my video that is on my blog, Rich talks about how he does these parent seminars, teaches the parents what to look for on their kids' social media. And he says that parents need to be totally involved with what their children are looking at. Um, because it's a dangerous world out there, and he's dealt with cyber crimes, and so he talks about like those issues, but just getting the parents involved, getting teachers, administrators, he said superintendents. It's like you said, it's the whole community. It's not just schools. And that's one thing too, for my platform. I'm all about the whole child. So we're not in silos here. Some people think um, you have school in this compartment, you have home in this compartment, you have community in this compartment. I want to bring it all together. I want to get communities in schools, like as far as community partnerships. And I'm talking about mentoring, communities in schools. There's a program actually called Communities in Schools, and there's some areas that don't even know about that program, which supports the whole child. We're talking about medical. We're talking about food bags on the weekend, um, parent education, like adult ed, like just elevating the family. Being focused on the family, the community, because that affects the child. It's not silos. It all works together.
Makes sense.
So,
So, Sylvia, there are a couple things, if you don't mind, I would love just to get your take on. I woke up this morning realizing, I guess, that is it the state ban? I know in Charleston County, in
Mm,
terms of cell phones in schools,
mhm.
I guess there's certain criteria now that where uh, kids and teenagers uh, can or can't use, where and when they can use a cell phone. And I know, we talked over the weekend about this issue about book banning,
Mm,
something that's very disturbing to me that
yes.
we would ban any book, try to erase anyone's history. It's important that we learn. You are a history major, so you can articulate this better than me. But we need to learn uh, everyone's history because we are all part of this human family, and so we can learn from. There have been mistakes made throughout our history, wars all over the world. So there's no community that's immune from making mistakes and violence. So that's just so huge to me that it's important that we learn from history because I really feel if you don't learn from history, then you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes that were made before. So I'd like to get your
Well,
take
not
on those
only
two
doomed
subjects.
to for the mistakes, but diversity is so important. When we talk about the 21st century learner, right? Because we have the whole profile of the South Carolina graduate. Diversity is a part of that. It's not a one-sided view. And to the whole book banning is, I called it, like I told you Saturday, the kangaroo court for the State Department with these books, because we have almost 50% of the students can't read on grade level. And we're talking about banning books. It's like it's not, the priority isn't set on the right thing. We're talking about why aren't we talking about AI? We have jobs that are going to be disappearing, but then we have new jobs that are going to be created, and it's going to be around AI. So here we are focusing in on book bans at the state level when local level they already had policies in place. So this is clearly like a political agenda move, which is detrimental to our kids. So that's one thing I want to bring back as state superintendent, some type of order and just refocus our attention on the children, making sure they have what they need to be successful beyond high school. Because high school isn't the finish line.
No, no, you.
No,
So
they have to learn to operate beyond. So
and I think what you said is so important that things like our artificial intelligence, and now they got AI platforms, the jobs of the future,
yes.
is so important. So, and if when you talking about banning a book, well, heck, if a kid can't read a book, banning the book
Yeah.
won't matter. It's not the books that
Right.
you don't ban, they can't read. So what are we doing here?
Right.
Like you said, the focus is completely in the wrong place.
Yes.
What's your take on the? And I'm sure you can, because I just briefly kind of heard this morning that today, I guess, the law was passed and signed by the governor. It went into effect today to where cell phones are banned. Could you kind of just
Sure.
let us know exactly what that law looks like and how it affects students and parents too?
Okay. So before this ban, like different schools would have like different policies for cell phones. Like things were all over the place. So what this ban does is make it a level playing field. No school is supposed to have or allow kids to have cell phones out, not even at recess, because there are some districts that were doing that. Okay, you can't have it during the educational time, but you can have it at recess or, lunch or whatever. But now, no cell phones. Students are not allowed to, they shouldn't be in sight at all from the school day. If the school starts at 7:30, ends at 3 p.m., no cell phones. Um, and I know that's been like a big issue for parents, because they're like, oh, I want to get in touch with my kid. What if there's an emergency?
Yes.
But I will tell you this as a teacher. One time I was teaching, a student pulled out her cell phone and she started texting. And I'm in the middle of teaching. She's texting. She's like, oh, it's my mother. It's my mother. And I'm like, okay, is it an emergency? She's like, no, she just told me to ride the bus home. I was like, what? So that interruption right there caused her to miss instruction, disrupted instruction. So the reason why I'm for that ban is because it is a distraction. And that's just one example of how it's distracting. I think time was given for people to use cell phones responsibly during the school day, and it wasn't happening. So if we talk about education, if we talk about making sure that we capitalize on instructional time and keeping our kids engaged, making sure they're learning, they're getting that high quality education, then if it's turning your cell phone off and you have to call the front office to get in touch with your kid or leave your kid a message, then that is going to what has to happen.
Okay.
If schools need to come up with some type of emergency, well, I'm sure they already have some type of emergency system. Like they have, there is a system that they use. Like if there's an announcement, it sends it out to the parents instantly.
Okay.
So,
Like the parents will get a text message from the
right,
school if there's like a lockdown or something like that. You're
correct.
saying. Okay. All right.
It's like Remind 101. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
So what does this ban look like? So is there a place where kids are going to be leaving these cell phones because you got these expensive $900,000 phones, which is
Great
a whole
question.
nother conversation. And as a parent, even though my youngest just graduated from college, but you do, and we were just talking about the school shootings. So as a
Mm,
parent, you do worry. So
right.
I'm sure it's got to be a fine line. But what does the ban look like, Sylvia? So when the kids come in the morning, are people checking for a phone? Is there a designated place? And do you have to worry about, phones being stolen? I'm sure it
Right.
just seems like it's, got to be pretty complicated for everybody.
Well, the thing with that is it depends on the district.
Okay.
Some districts are allowing the kids to keep the cell phone on them because they don't want to be responsible. If a kid puts it in the bin, then the kid goes back to the bin and it's not there,
Yes.
then the school is held responsible. So they don't want that. So what they're doing is they're allowing the kids to keep the cell phone on them, but it has to be off.
Okay.
And if they get caught with using it, they get a warning. So
Okay.
don't think like if the teacher sees it automatically, oh, give me your cell phone. They get a warning. So if your student gets their phone taken, that means they just totally were being like defiant because they do get a warning before the teacher takes it. But basically what's happening is it just has to be off and out of sight for the school day.
Okay. All right. Wow. Let everybody know where they can learn more about your campaign, where they can volunteer, make donations to your campaign, and read more about your platform. Give us all your
Yes, sir.
social media contacts.
Yes, right. 2026sc.com is my website.
And that's
I also have a
WRIGHT.
yes, sir. WRIGHT 2026sc.com.
And
Yep, you can sign up to volunteer,
okay.
donate. My blogs are on there. I would like for you to go to the website, watch that video about the cyber safe schools, learn more about that. I also would like to be invited to communities. If you have a community event going on, I would love to come out, meet and greet. I'll go anywhere. I'm traveling all over the state 2025.
And
So
how many counties is what?
46.
46.
Mhm.
That's a lot.
46 counties.
Yeah, well, you got a
Yeah.
lot. Listen, I am so happy for you. I'm really excited that we had a chance to meet. Now you have a permanent home here.
Yes,
Soon to
sir.
be Dr. Wright
Thank
on
you.
the show.
Thank you.
Anytime you need to come on the show for whatever, you already know that. I'm 10 toes down with you because and you look way too young to be a grandma. I just got to say that.
I get that a lot. I get that
I
a
was gonna say, I'm sure you get that a lot. It's like, what, grandma?
lot.
But education is such a priority for
Mhm.
me. I've been here doing radio 20 years in March, and I do a feature on my radio show, just highlighting young people for doing well in school, academic excellence. So this is, I always, and it just really burns me up, the hypocrisy,
Mm.
and you hear politicians say, well, our kids are our most important priority, which is, excuse my French, this is not soon to be Dr. Wright. This is me. It's the Geno show. So you all know I keep it 1,000, not 100. When I hear that, it's bullshit to me because your action and your behavior
Mhm.
really tells the true story about who and what is important to you.
Mhm.
So don't don't with your mouth can say anything. Don't tell me that our kids are our biggest priority, but then, we don't make sure that every child,
Right.
I used to have debates with people about vouchers. It's like, okay,
Mm.
good. I always had one question, and nobody, even people who may have been, more liberal, conservative, and I hate those labels, or progressive, black, white, Hispanic. I always say, what do we do with the kids that can't get a voucher?
That.
And nobody seems to have that answer. So it's like, if we're gonna, we can't like pick and choose.
Right.
If we are about, if kids are our most important, if they're our most important resource or whatever, our biggest priority, then all kids,
Yep.
we got to make every child, even a child that doesn't look like you or
Right.
speak your language or family worships the same God that you worship, or maybe their family don't even worship. No,
Right.
all kids. We
Right.
got to make all kids priority. And if we don't do that, this is just my take here. It's just stop talking, because it's BS. It's disingenuous, and we have a couple generations, for millennials, definitely Gen Zs, and the Gen Alphas coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They will call out. They know, they can smell, they can hear. They know BS. I think you and I talked about it. Stop lying to these children, because they know you're lying.
Yeah.
And they lose respect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And once a child loses respect, it's almost impossible to get it back, because when people lose respect for you, that means they can't trust you. And the worst thing is for a child not to be able to trust an adult. So I'm sorry, that was just, I pop off like that on the show, but we talk, I'm just really passionate about that. It's like, let's stop talking about kids are our number one priority, because they're not. Because just from the laws that we pass, just how we just interact, we know. And kids see that. That's the funny part. Kids are probably like, these grown folks are full of it, because they're talking. They say I'm a priority, but their actions and behavior doesn't show me that I'm a priority. Kids are not stupid. These kids are smarter than a lot of these grown folks. So, Sylvia Wright, once again, give us your website and your social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, or if you have any, please give us all those contacts.
Yep. So Wright, WRIGHT 2026SC.com. Also on Facebook, it's Wright _ 2026 _ SC. On TikTok, it's Wright 2026. Those are the main ones. Instagram, I think I did the Instagram, the Wright _. Okay.
And you probably got links on your main website to all your social media.
Yes.
So just go to that main website. It's Wright, once again, Wright 2026 SC .com. Sylvia Wright. Thank you. The election, November
3rd.
November 3rd, 2026.
2026.
So there'll probably be a primary, probably that spring.
That spring, yep.
Okay, all right. So we'll get to make sure you give us all the dates for that, but you'll be on multiple times in between now and then. Thank you, Sylvia Wright. God bless you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right. I'm thanking for coming on. Just really a brilliant woman, and I'm really excited for. We need more people who understand that. Let's not talk about kids being our priority. Let's show kids. Let's show them. Let's give them the resources, and let's invest financially. Yes, but the most important thing that kids want and need is you, us, our time. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and you, especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Yes, we are back for 2025 City Vibes Bar and Lounge. The Geno Jones Show is brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, 9730 Dorchester Road. Shout out to Corey and Kenya Williams. You can follow City Vibes on Instagram, Facebook, and I do believe TikTok also. We are all we got, but we are all we need. For us, by us. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, CEO of Designer Cuts here in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. Check him out, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the show. You can check her and her Lexi Jones collection out on Instagram, LX.NCL_LX.NCL_. Mr. Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant, stylist for the show. Check him out on Instagram, Mario Uomo. Uomo is spelled with a U. It's an Italian surname. MARIOUOMO, and Flyball the store. Just go to that website, Flyball the store. But you can check all that out on his Mario Uomo page. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you live Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.